Welcome to 35 to 1 Roulette Cruising. I just disembarked Voyager of the Seas. Let's dive into the Cruisin Debrief. So I went on a comp cruise on Voyager of the Seas out of Port Canaveral. We left on the 10th. We got back yesterday. So just want to give you all a quick debrief as to what happened on the cruise. If there's any insight I might can provide, hopefully it'll help you with your next cruise. So for us, we live about 2.5 hours north of the cruise port. So we drove down and, traffic wasn't that bad. But we sailed out of Terminal 6 at Port Canaveral. I've never gone out of that terminal. For some reason, we were routed over to what looked like to be Princess Cruise Line, their terminal. But hey, that's we got on the ship with the problem. Check-in was fast, so we were in the parking garage at 1 o'clock, parked, and we made it through, and we were on the promenade by 1:30. And once on the promenade, if you bought the classic soda package or anything like that, you can just go to the bar there and retrieve your cups there. They've got plenty of freestyle machines around the ship, so it's not a problem there. Enjoy your soda while you can. So we just got our cups, went and ate some pizza, went and checked out our rooms. We went up and checked out our cabin, made sure where it was at, made sure it was going to work out, and everything was fine in there. I had a interior with virtual balcony. That was okay. It was a little different. The screen was a little glitchy. But it wasn't too bad. We pretty much just kept the curtain closed. At night it would just go dark. That's probably because it was nighttime outside, and I think there's a camera on the outside of the ship, of course. So when it was nighttime, it was just black screen for the most part. So we would just close the curtain on it just to just at least darken it up a little more in the cabin. But anyway, checked out the room. Everything seemed fine. So we just kind of roamed around the ship for a little while until dinner. So we went and ate dinner, and then after dinner, we went to the casino. So now, let's dive into the casino a little bit. So on night one, everybody and their brother goes to the casino. So it was a packed house in there on night one. But they had all three tables were open. They had a single zero wheel. They had a double zero wheel. Those were side by side in the casino. It's pretty tight in there. In that section of the casino, there was a third double zero wheel. It was actually a second double zero wheel, but there was a third table over there to the right, down there toward the craps table and stuff like that. So it was kind of off over there by itself, but we kind of just stuck to the single zero and a double zero wheel. So to start the night, I'll put the graphic here and just kind of go down the paper there. All right, so the first session I sat down and I bought in for $300. I played the point pusher, and you can see on there I played it a $72 average. That was just kind of to get the feel of it and just see how it went. So I bought in for $300. I was out $466. But the surprising part was I played for 2 hours. I only counted 41 spins, and it took 41 spins till I got my first loss. And once I got the first loss, I'm like, all right, let's walk away. We probably ran this thing just about as far as we can run it, right? But the surprising part was I earned 1,012 points on one session, which doesn't seem right. Normally, most of the time what I'm seeing is my average every 10 spins is what we get on points. But for some reason, this table here was just pouring the points out, okay? So 2 hours of playtime, 1,012 points. Great night, great start to the night, right? All right, so then I went over to the single zero wheel, bought it for $200. I played the point pusher at a $90 average, so I increased it and tried it and just see what would happen. I was playing with $2 chips on the first session because I was just trying to fill it out. I kind of started out with $36 and then kind of doubled it up and just see what it would do, right? So I went ahead and played on the single zero, played $5 chips, bought it for $200. I was out $288, and what was it? 1,084 points. So I didn't earn that many points. I was there for 35 minutes, 15 spins. But the one reason I was there for such a short time is because where I was standing at the table, the single zero and the double zero are so close together that the corners of the tables is tight right there. There was probably only 4 feet between them, maybe. But you know how they have the cord where they kind of separate you and they got a little thing standing there. It was kind of pushed out of the way so you could stand at the corner of the table. So I was standing there. I was standing there for 30 minutes and playing just fine. No problems at all. The dealer never said anything to me. And then all of a sudden, the pit boss changed. Well, when the pit boss changed, he didn't come over and just ask me to move. Okay. He kind of sent the dealers over there from another area and pretty well started pushing the whatever divider or whatever you want to call it, just pushed it against me. And then they come over and they pushed it again. Before you know it, I'm almost sitting in the guy's lap at the end of the table. And so because they were so rude about it, I said, let me cash out. I'm done. I'm not going to sit here and get pushed off the table and pushed into someone's lap. And so I cashed out, and the guy they was pushing me onto, he cashed out because he saw what was happening. And I had a discussion with the manager about that later, and he apologized, of course. But, hey, the damage is done, right? So anyway, so I finished that session, up $88, and only earned about 70 points for that session. Wasn't that good of a session. 15 spins, only earned 70 points. So anyway, so that table there I didn't like too much anyway. All right, so the next one, I played craps. I went over to the craps table, bought in for $100. I played 44 inside, and the guy that was shooting was to my right. He set the point, and then boom, 7 out. I'm like, oh man, already down $44. So it was my turn to shoot, and so $10 on the pass line. I set the point, and I had enough to do 44 inside, and anyway, I rolled for 30 minutes. And everybody at the table, it was a cold table before I showed up, and then everybody was all excited by the time I got through with my roll, and I doubled my money. But see, the thing with craps for me is I don't like to change anything. I really don't like to press too much. I don't like to move stuff around, because I feel like every time I mess with it is when everything goes south. So, and that's typically what you'll see on a craps table is the guy shooting rarely makes all the money. Right? It's because you don't want to jinx the roll for everyone else. And but I did do a little pressing here and there and retrieving and all that. So anyway, I bought in for $100 and walked away with $205. But I also left over $100 on the table when it busted. But anyway, so I didn't earn that many points at that session. I think it looks like about 30 points for 40 minutes worth of play. So then I went over and I played $100 for the point pusher. I was rolling or setting up a $45 average. I was out at $110, so I had a $10 profit, and I was at 1,220 points. So that was some good points for 10 minutes and 10 spins, because I was testing it out just to see kind of what the rating was. And so, but as you can see, if I was betting $45 and I made a point not to increase it or whatever, just $45, but I earned, 106 points in 10 spins at a $45 average. I don't know. Anyway, so I finished the night up $405. So called it a night, went in the room, and then we rolled into day 2. All right, so on day 2, we decided we'd just get up, eat breakfast. We had passes to the water park at Coco Cay, so we just went ahead and went to the water park. Tables didn't open till noon. Slot machines were open at 8 o'clock or whatever, and then some of the table games, I guess they opened at 10, but we weren't on the ship. We just kind of hung out down and kind of stayed at the beach for a little bit and stayed at the water park for a little while with the kids. But I went to the only table that was open was, like I told you, the craps table. There's a table sitting over beside it. It's a 00 wheel. So I'm like, nobody's in the casino. I'm here by myself. I just sat down at that table and I'm like, let me just play the 30 chip and, you know, just see what happens, right? So I sat down, you know, the bet is $60. And then after the win, I increased it 6 chips and 6 chips, which puts it at 84. So I asked the pit boss pretty quick after I sat down a few spins, and he said, I have you at $95. And I'm like, man, that's great. That's a great average because I'm only risking $60. So anyway, I played that strategy for an hour and 10 minutes, 50 spins, and after all that, I had only earned about 140 points for the entire time I was there. So a $95 average for over an hour, 50 spins, and I only earned 140 points. So, of course, I had a discussion with the pit boss. I'm like, there's something wrong with that table. You said you had me at 95. I only earned 140 points. Obviously, there's something going on. So after some back and forth with the pit boss and the casino manager, I don't know if they told me on purpose or they let it slip, but they said the table I played on the first night gave me way more points than I should have received. And that the table that only gave me 140 points was accurate. I beg to differ. So anyway, so I told him, well, you won't see me at the other table the rest of the cruise. I'm going to stick to this table right here because that's the one that's giving me points. So you'll only see me on this table for the remainder of the cruise. And, you know, he's like, whatever. And so anyway, so I pretty well called it a day for that. Because that kind of, you know, that kind of average and risking that much, you know, bought in for $300. I walked away with 165, you know, so that's a little bit of a loss. And, you know, I decided I wasn't going to play any more that day. We're going to work on, focus on my wife's points. We've got to get her some points, get her going for the year. So for the rest of the night and the rest of the day, rest of the night, I focused on my wife. And throughout her sessions for the night, she earned 886 points through night 2. Okay. So here, I'll show you a video. See what it looks like at the tables. People have asked, hey, why don't you video while you're in the casino? Well, there's a reason you can't, because if you have your phone out anywhere near the table, they will shut you down as quick as possible. And so it's a little, you know, bad. It's not a good video, a little hit or miss, but anyway, it just gives you a feel of what was going on at the table. My wife was playing the point pusher strategy. So check it out. Okay, so my wife's playing now. She's got green chips. It looks like she's probably playing with a $90 average. So she got 6 chips stacked on the 3rd column and 2 chips on 5 corners and 2 chips up on the basket, which is a 2, 0, double 0. So I landed on 13. 13 is a push with this strategy the way it's set up. So he rakes the table, and it looks like you've lost everything. It looks like you have just busted, but she's got those 2 chips up there. Those 2 chips. That pays 16 chips. So when everything's said and done, she has 18 chips, which is exactly what she had on the table to start with. So it's a push. And with this setup here, the only bust numbers that she currently has is the 1, 4, and 5. And those are $5 chips. Even though they're green, you can have colored chips and say they're worth $5 each, and they'll mark them that way. No, and this is as long as you're prime in the casino, you get free drinks in the casino. No matter if you're playing, standing around, watching, no matter what in the casino. If you're prime status, you get free drinks in the casino with Royal Caribbean. Okay, so he's verifying how many chips she has. Here he goes. He's got a stack of 20. He takes 4 chips off of it, and he hands her the stack. All right, so the table was pretty busy. And anyway, but she did good. She figured that strategy out, and she set it out every time really good. And she really liked it because it gave a high average. And it gave good points at that table. So anyway, we called it a night. That was the end of night 2. So let's look at night 3. So night 3, I strictly stuck to the point pusher strategy, of course. The first session, I only played $36 because, it's kind of like I had some good points. And initially, when I went on the cruise, I'm like, I've got 3 cruises this year. To get prime, I need to get 800-900 points every cruise to break prime. And so we typically don't chase certificates. We usually just go and just get our points, make prime, then we just get the offers, and that's how we go on our cruise. But I had so many points after night 3, after getting into night 3 good, that I was kind of like, I think I'm going to push for a certificate this time. And a 2000 certificate had a cruise on there that we were looking for. So after 3 sessions on night 3, I finally broke that 2,000 point mark. So I finished the night at 2195, and it's 3 sessions. I show the breakdown there. In for 300, out for 255, in for 300, out for 235, in for 300, out for 290. You see my averages are 36, 90, and 90. One of the sessions I asked the pit boss and what my average was, and he said he had me at 200. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to stay here and play for, as long as I can, until it turns south, right? And so that was probably, I think it was that second session when he told me he had me at 200. And, but after 20 spins, right at an hour, I'm like, all right, let's take a break. And then when I came back, we had some friends with us. They needed some points, so we all sat down and started playing the strategy. I kept it at $90. And I asked the pit boss again, hey, where do you have my average? He said, I've got you at 150. And I'm fine with that. I mean, I was only betting 90, so they have me at 150. Great. So I made good points on night 3. And that's because I was on the good table. If you notice, on the first session, I went and played at the single zero wheel for the first session. And you notice I didn't get that many points on the first session. So from day 1 or day 2, night 2, I went from 1,359 points to 1,434 points. That's barely even 100 points for an hour and 40 minutes worth of play. That's not very good, okay? But I moved over to the good table. Then I figured out that is the table to be, and that's where we were. So anyway, so that's the end of night 3. I had received $21.95 for points, and had earned that 2,000 point certificate. So let's check out night 4. All right, so night 4, I already had the points I needed. I really shouldn't have played. I should have just let my wife just earn her points, and that's what she did. She sat down at the good table. She played. She actually played the point pusher strategy at $135 a spin, and the pit boss had her at 150 most of the time she was playing. But the problem with going up to that level, when you buy in for $300, you can only miss twice. And so you kind of need to buy in for more than $300. And that's our typical buy-in, is about $300. So, but anyway, so she played long enough, and she earned enough points, so she broke that 2,000 point for the certificate. And so anyway, so she finished the cruise just over 2,000 points, like 2,080. So she just squeaked by. I sat down and I went over to the single zero wheel. I'm like, well, I don't need to make any points. I've got my points I need. I'm just going to play around a little bit and let's try some stuff. And so I sat down, $200. I played the yin and yang, several spins, and it would never hit. I was trying it with the original yin and yang, where you place your 14 chips. If it wins, then you put 3 chips on most of the 14 numbers that you just played. You don't have enough to cover 3 on every one, but for most of them, you can put 3 chips on them. And if it wins, if you get a win after that, that's a $200 win. Okay, so that's kind of what I was trying to do. I was like, I'm going to make some money, and it didn't work out. But once I got down a little bit, then I switched over to It's like the 25-20 strategy, but you've got to play it with $2 chips. So it was 7 and 5. So I put 7 chips here and 5 chips on the third dozen. That kind of helped. I kind of got a lot of points, not points, but started getting my bankroll back doing that. Just back and forth. I would switch it here and back and forth, and that worked out pretty good. I got most of my money back. Once I got back up to $160. I was down to like $50 at one point. But I got back up to like $160, and of course my wife was like, "Hey, you should probably leave the table." Hey, we're here to play, right? So anyway, so I kept sitting there, and then I switched over and I played the 8 streets, and that did pretty good. I had a couple good hits with that, and then it kind of fell apart again. So anyway, so I finished that session with I bought in for 200. I was out for 120, so down $80 for an hour. I played an hour and finished with 2,332 points. So that was total for the cruise, but I can't say it's total for the cruise because at that point we went and cashed in our promo money. So that's one thing you guys need to remember is at the end of your cruise, you get I think it's like $5 of promo money for every $100, I believe, or 100 points. So I had like $50. So I had 10 $5 chips for promo money. And, at that point, you kind of take them back to the table and you try to turn them back into cash. And that's what I did. So I got my promo money and I converted it to cash. And, but me being me, I took $60 over at the craps table and tried something and lost it all. All right. But that's how it goes. Okay. So we finished the cruise down $500 combined. Okay. That's pretty good for a 4-day cruise when you're chasing 2,000 points. So we finished with over 2,000 points apiece. We both received the 2,000 point certificate. So once you know you've achieved that, you go in and you make a deposit on the next cruise booking. And it's $200. I paid my $200. My wife paid her $200. Then you have a booking number through Next Cruise. Now, all you have to do is call Club Royale, give them your certificate number, tell them your booking number, and you set up your certificate cruise. And it's pretty easy. But as far as cost savings go, people wonder about losing money and prepaying for their cruise. Well, as you can see, we lost $500 combined. So for the two of us, okay? If you were to book 2 cabins for 2 people each on Utopia of the Seas for spring break 2026, the cost right now is right at $4,500. So for us, we lost $500. We paid $200 a piece for our deposit. And when I called today to book the cruise, I had to pay an extra $9. So in total, we paid $909 for a Utopia of the Seas spring break cruise, 2 cabins for 2 people each. That is a savings of 80%. That's pretty good. So if you think to go on a cruise, you have to pretty well prepay for it, that's not the case. If you play with a strategy that gets you good points, low chance of losing everything, then you're going to be successful. You've got to come in there with a game plan. You can't come in and just throw money on the table and just expect that free cruise certificate to just fall in your lap. You can prepay for one if you want, but if you're going to do that, you might as well just book it without going through the casino. Okay? And the other thing, while we was on the cruise, I met some great people, met some great guys. So I'm going to give a shout out to Glenn, Manley, and David. Man, you guys were awesome. You guys were great. So glad we all got to work out the strategy together. When we all got on the cruise, we're all trying our own things. And before it was over with, there was one night that I think there was 7 people at the table playing the point pusher strategy. It works. It's really good. And I think for the most part, everybody likes it. Everybody will keep playing it from this point forward, I do believe. So appreciate you guys. Glad y'all got to join me on the cruise. Glad I got to talk to you and meet y'all. All right. So if you're not a subscriber to the channel, just subscribe. It's not going to hurt you. And if you would, like this video for me. And please like and subscribe to 35-to-1 Roulette Cruising. And until next time, happy cruising. So there it is. Voyager of the Seas, April 2025. That's a wrap. See ya.